Hello dudes and dudeses, and welcome to this video about another multi-item sorting system, a categorizer, the Fabmiss 3 I will call it. I think it should actually be called Fabmiss 4 because I was actually working on another system to upgrade the Fabmiss 2 and I did it, I completed it, but then it dawned on me that I had the idea to do something quite differently, and that's what I've done with this. And so we just skipped ahead for this. But if you're interested in the other system, it will be in the world download as well. And here it is, the Fabmiss 3.0. There will probably be some point something when I find out something that didn't work or isn't optimal when I get the feedback from you guys, but this is what I've been working on. This is why I haven't sent out videos, because first I made this entire thing and this entire thing and this entire thing, and then I got an idea right there that developed, and well, this came out of it. It's a sorting system, of course. You probably saw that from the video title, but it's a very fast sorting system. It's more than twice as fast as the Fabmiss 2 that is over there somewhere, and it uses a lot of new, at least to me, a lot of new technology and the ways of doing things. I did have a list of requirements for this system, which is kind of interesting because I almost got all the things that I wanted. One of them was that I wanted filters at the bottom. I always want filters at the bottom. I do that in Fabmiss 2 as well. You can see it's down here, but you can reach them from up here. And the reason I want that is I just learned about myself that if I put them somewhere in the back where you have to go up and crawl, I will set it up the first time, but I will never ever change them. I'm just too lazy. So in this way, I will have easy access to set up the filters, and that was a demand that I had for this system. Then I wanted as many sortable chests as you want. You can expand this all the way to sky limit if you want to. All of these chests are containing items that are sorted, and that's a change from the Fabmiss 2 as well, that only actually had 2 double chests that were sorted, and it was one of the things that you guys asked me about most. Could you expand that somehow? And we have in this system. Then it should be faster than the Fabmiss 2, just because why not? And it is more than twice as fast. And it should be one wide slide based, and it is. And it should be easy expandable, and it is as well. The Fabmiss 2 could be expanded. It could even be made to a horseshoe, but you had to take into account something about the delay of the return of the minecarts and stuff like that. So you had to put in a timer to do it. This one, it's doing that stuff itself, so you can just expand it. However, you can only have one section of 15 chests. Then you need to have 1 or 2 blocks in between, and then 15 chests, and so on. And that I will explain that later why that is. And finally, I wanted to have this system use new way of doing things, and that was simply because in my survival world, if you don't know it, the reboot world, I have introduced a new civilization, and just for the fun of it, I wanted them to do things in a different way. So I have to take new ways of doing things when I made this. That was my challenge. Now, first of all, let's take a look at the interface. It's probably what you would expect. Ignore that one. I haven't done it yet. It's because I want to put in shulker unloader, so it doesn't do anything right now. I just marked up the space, and I haven't built it because then it will be too many things to explain in a cramped space. There's an input chest right here, and there's a lever right here. The lever, when it's on, sorts for things that stack to 16. And if you have things that stack to 16 and you forget to put it on, they will just go into the overflow chest that is down there. So if we go in here, you can see I have a lot of stuff in my inventory, and I know that some of this stuff is in the filters in here. Basically, what I've done is I've taken the first items from this row right here, and some of it is in the filters, some of it is not. So if we can try and see how it looks, I know there's some of these, so I will just put in half a stack of these. I will put a stack of these, and I will put a stack of these, and these I will do like that. You get the idea. We just mess it up like that. And if we go around here to the back, you can see what's going on. Let's see this, it disappears. Now, soon you will see a minecart appearing right here, and we will try and follow it. There's a minecart up there unloading, and as soon as the filter item is back, it sends off another one. So you can see there's actually two minecarts going at the same time. So it goes up here, finds a place where it should unload, and as soon as this filter item has come down and in the chest again, it will start this. So there will always be two minecarts in the system going at the same time, but there will never be more than one minecart up here, and that's essential. That's kind of the pace of the system. So this is what it looks like, and there's a lot. I know it probably looks daunting, or I don't know, very redstone-y for some of my audience, and I know I have a very mixed audience. Some come here for the very simple things, and for those this might look, very, very complicated, but I promise you it is not. And the way I want to show it to you is by looking at one slice. Now this is one slice of the system, and as you can see, there's a lot of air, and there's not really that much going on when you look at it like that. I will try and go through everything that goes on in this slice, and then you will realize it's really quite simple. Here you have the chests that contains whatever you want sorted in that row. Down here you have the filter chest. That's the one we access from up here, because we can go down there and look at it. And this is set up like this. You can set it up in many different ways, but it's set up so that it leaves a specific signal strength out here, so that when you remove one item, you can see that this signal strength goes down. That's basically it. And it's very similar to all kinds of other systems out there, and they do it a bit differently, all of them, but this basically the main idea is the same. So we take out an item here, and it does something. And what this does is that it takes a signal down here, and it pushes this piston right here out there and back again. Now the reason it does this, let me just show you. Now this rail right here, as you can see, is not powered by now, and don't I have a minecart? I do have a minecart. I will put a minecart, and then I put minecarts, or basically any other unstackable items in here, which means that if I put an item in here, imagine it's sucked out of the input chest, then it will only be able to suck out that item when it goes underneath a chest. And in this case, it is that item, so it will open this chest, this row, you can say, this slice. Now, this makes the minecart goes slower. I will just address this in a minute, but look at this. Look what happens. It goes up there, and it is there. Now it goes over here, go up here, and it leaves one item there that goes down and comes in here and fills this again. So now the filter is back whole, you can say, and that's the idea of the system. And when we go to watch at the whole system later, this right here, when this comes back, is when the second minecart is sent away again. So the second minecart will only be sent off when the filter is closed again. So there can never be any mistakes in this system for that reason. I hope this makes sense. If we look at this, we had this in Fabmiss too, but only in the loading area. When you have two observers looking at each other, if you push them by a piston, if you put them together, they will blink as well, but the minecart won't go. But if you put it by a piston, it will mean that the minecart will go, but very slow. And we need that because otherwise we cannot precisely hit the minecarts that come here. So in this direction, the minecart is actually going slower than in many systems. Now, this is mud and 119 block. When you push out a block, there has to be a block here, otherwise it will break. So you have to have a block here that you can place a rail on. So, but if you had stone, for instance, the minecart would just stay there. You cannot have a solid block right here. And you cannot have, for instance, a chest right here that the minecart can go through because you cannot place a rail on it. But mud, it turns out, you can place a rail on, and when the minecart is pushed out at the exact right moment, it will go through and snap to the rails down here. And that's what we're using in this system. So it goes by here, it takes out this filter, is pushed out, it snaps down here, goes over here, and this is just a bubble column that takes it up here. And this is another thing that is not new. We saw it, I think I saw it the first time. It was Doc M77 who showed it in Hermitcraft season 6 or 7 or something, that if you have a water column with at least 3 water sources underneath and you put a minecart in, and you have a rail on top, it will snap to it. But what I didn't know, but what I found out is that if you have a diagonal, one that's up like this, it will actually determine the direction of the minecart. It works. It will still snap to it, and it will send the minecart that way. So that's one of the things we're utilizing here. It then goes over this hopper, and it pulls out at a speed that pulls out exactly one item and replaces it down here, as I said. Then it goes over here, stands here and unloads. And it, as you can see, it goes down here and over here and into the chests, just like you would expect. And I will address the minecarts later. The minecart then go back, and because we have this rail here, it powers, when the minecart goes over, it powers this block. It locks this hopper so it doesn't suck out anything if there's anything left, and it goes out here and falls down. But the minecarts that are sucked out, the 4 minecarts, 3 of them are sucked out here. It goes down to this filter, which is my own invention, but it's not new. It's my own invention for non-stackable item filter that needs to be in a small space. So you need to have another direction of this. So the minecarts go down here, 3 of them, as you can see. So when the minecart up here goes back, that's why we have to lock this. It has 1 minecart in it, and it goes out here, and that's basically the system. That's what it does. And then we just pile a lot of these together, and you can do a sorting system. When the minecart drops down here, it will just stand on a rail. Even though this rail is powered, unless you have a block behind it on a powered rail, it will just die. It will just stop there. And we could, of course, do something where we try to break the minecart up here, but then we would need to have something that broke the minecart for each slice, and that was kind of not what I wanted. So over here, what do we have? Well, we know now that if you have a rail underneath a mud block, the minecarts go through and snap to it. So if a minecart has momentum when it goes down, it will actually carry on in that direction. And that's why we have these water sources here. So when they go up here, they fall down, they get a little bit of momentum, but it's enough to that when they snap to this rail down here, they will continue in that direction. And then we have these two chests right here that will allow for the minecart to fall down and hit this cactus that of course breaks it. And with the new way of having hopper minecarts, it doesn't break into a minecart and a hopper. It stays a minecart hopper. It goes down here. It goes over here, right here where we have a small setup that pushes it up to this hopper line, and down here where you can see it is loaded into this minecart that is down here. So that's how we handle the minecarts in this. And this line, of course, just takes out the minecarts from this filter right here from all of them. A neat thing I found out is that when you build these in a row and you have the minecarts going into the water columns, you don't need to have them divided. They will stay firmly in their column. They won't shift over. So you can just have one big open water column like this, and it still works. Another trick we use is that when the minecarts come up here and is unloaded, as I said, it unloads the hopper minecarts down here. It makes this torch blink. And there's a trick that we used, we used it a couple of times. I think it was in the shulker box loader or unloader that we designed at some point, that that observer can actually detect, this one is looking down, can actually detect a signal through a hopper. So this one right here looks at this, sees it blinks when the minecarts go down. It sends a signal up. This one sees it, and this one sees that one, and that one sees that one, that one sees that one, and then we have it up here. So when the minecarts are sucked out of this, it is pushed back. And then you have a solid block to a powered rail, which means that the minecart will go back. Let's look a bit closer at the filter. As I said, it's quite standard. It is used in many systems and is set up in a way where the comparator, when you take out an item, it drops a signal strength, which means that this one gets unpowered without affecting the others. Let's just try this right here. You take out this and you can see it went on in there, and this one is unpowered. So that's kind of how it works. So if I put it in again, just one, it's powered on. And of course, I like to have it this way. I basically ignore this part down here. You can just exchange any of these with a block that you want to have sorted for, and it works. All you have to be wary of is when you set it up for 16, it's a bit different. I can take this later, or you can watch the Fabmiss too, because then you have to take out additional 3 items, I think it is, to make the signal strength work. But you can have mixed items of stacking to 64 and 16 in the same filter. It still works. What we have here then is a comparator which actually takes that signal and puts it into a block and powers or unpowers this torch. Then we have this row right here. And this only reacts. It reacts every time just one of these are powered, it does something right here. And what it does is, if one of these are powered, it turns off this torch right here. And then this contraption that I also that I really like, a new contraption. It isn't mine. I saw it on Reddit. As I said, I used it in my mango tree farm, I think. It's basically a kind of T flip-flop, but it does more than that. It takes a signal, which is, in this case, a steady signal. And when it turns off, nothing happens. But when it turns on, because there's water in here, it changes the signal, which means that when an item is pulled out, nothing happens. But when it's put back in, it changes the signal, and we register that over here with this observer right here. and it fires the dispenser, which puts out another minecart, and that's how we can have two minecarts going in the system. As soon as a minecart goes over this one and the item is put back in the chest, it will be registered right there and it will send off another minecart. But it also means that this minecart will only go when the chest has its filter item back, which means that if there's more of the same item, it will actually go that way to the same place again. So that's kind of neat, I think. Then as the minecart goes out, as you can see, the minecart always have 5. But we need this first space right here is the one that we need, because it always uses the first space first. So we need to have a certain momentum when going over this hopper, and this hopper will pull out this minecart, put it into this dropper right here, and then there's just this small setup right here which pushes it back and into this again right here. And what is going on here? It seems like a mess, and it kind of is. There's a diagonal or a normal rail going up, there's water going towards it, there's water in here, and there's the powered rails, 4 of them I think, or 5, 1, 2, 3, 4 of them, and they're all blinking at this pace that slows it down. All of these things together, this rail, the water, the power rails, is meant to slow down the minecart. So it takes exactly 32 items when in 64 stack mode from this chest, which means that there will always only be 2 minecarts to deliver 1 stack to a filter. Over here you can see we have another mud block, and then we have this rail right here, and this speeds up the minecart so it gets momentum, and this allows it to drop down. Even though it's here on this block and not here, it allows it to drop down right here where it's sent off, and it's hit this one right here, as you can see, is just a comparator which detects if there's something in the chest and powers this rail. So it's always ready to be sent off, which means you don't have to push any button. As soon as you can put something in the chest, because there's a minecart ready, it will go on its merry way. Now this is the concept. I hope you like it, and I will leave a world download as always in my Discord community, and it will be of all this world here behind me, because every time I have to copy paste it, I have to do a lot of work to, you know, copy pasting in Minecraft. All the water sources get destroyed, and the rails that are on hoppers fall down in, and then probably I forget something. So I will leave you this world download, but I will make the world spawn just in front of it, and then you can have some fun with it and give some feedback, and let me know what you think and if you experience any problems or hiccups with it. Alright dudes and dudesses, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. It's been a fun project, and I hope I'll see you in the next one. Bye!